Okay, thank you, everybody. First, we're going to start with a little bit of housekeeping here. I don't know why I'm always the one presenting this information, but I always seem to be. Um, the Coast Guard and vessel traffic want you to know that there are two different channels that you use. I don't know how clear this is. This is basically Roger Curtis, so a line from Roger Curtis down to, I guess there's some kind of jetty in here. I don't really know. Within the harbor, you want to use channel 12. Outside it, you want to use channel 11. I have to admit, in all the years I've raced Straits, I don't think I've ever actually called vessel traffic, but just so everybody knows what to do. So there's two channels, use the right one. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly talk about the rules issues around Straits. First of all, about the penalty systems, and then a little bit about the collision regulations, which we're going to be sailing in during the night time. First of all, how many of you have a yellow flag on board? Okay, need a yellow flag. Under the rules that we're sailing, we're using the alternate penalty. What that means is you can't exonerate yourself from a foul with a 720. What you do is you put up a yellow flag as soon as possible after the incident, and you report to the race committee when you finish that you have taken a yellow flag. That will kick in the alternate penalty. What is the alternate penalty? The penalty shall be 20% of the difference between the corrected time of the first yacht and the corrected time of the last yacht in your division. Then you add that to your time. So you're saying, I fouled another boat, give me the time penalty when you fly the yellow flag. Obviously, the amount of time that is depends on the amount of time between the first and last in your division. If you look at all the divisions in the last few years, that's typically somewhere between an hour, 20 minutes and an hour you're adding to your time. I think in 1 year, the boat that won could have taken a time penalty and they still would have won. There's a second kind of penalty, the alternate penalty after you finish. So you're back at the dock, and you decide you have a crisis of conscience, and you decide that you want to withdraw. In that case, it'll be a 30% penalty. Actually, where this probably gets used is we're having an arbitration process. So if two boats get in an incident, we're going to have an arbitration. And in an arbitration, the two parties will sit with a single arbitrator and quickly describe, won't be a full protest procedure, they'll quickly describe their cases, and then the arbitrator will give you an opinion about the strength of everybody's case. And he'll probably, or she, will probably recommend to one of the boats that they ought to withdraw. That's what this is for. Any questions about that? There's usually not a lot of rule stuff. Down the back. Yes? Yes. Okay, so the question was just about the process, so I'll run through it. So if you are the aggrieved party, if you come off the start line on starboard tack and somebody on port tack makes you alter course, you'll fly your red flag. If the boat that was on port goes, yeah, you know what, we did foul that boat, they'll put up their yellow flag. The wording is something as soon as possible. I hope you all have your protest flags mounted on your backstays for immediate deployment. I doubt everybody's going to have a yellow flag, so yellow flags may have to get kind of dug out of the kit a little bit. So as the protesting boat, keep an eye on it, but you can also check when you get back to the dock. So before you go and file a protest, if the other boat has flown the yellow flag to take the alternate penalty, then you don't have to file a protest. Nobody's ever asked that question before. I would think, Tom, you're a judge type of guy. I would think you'd get two of them. Yeah, I don't think fouling a boat and taking a yellow flag gives you a get out of jail free card for the rest of the race. I think that would be a dangerous situation for some of the sailors that I know. Any other questions? Okay, let's talk about rules at night. Here's a direct quote from the NOR. Between sunset and sunrise, the international regulations for prevention of collisions at sea shall replace Part 2 of the racing rules. Sunset will be 1940, and sunrise will be 6:51. So you actually have the times right in the NOR when this applies. Yeah, they have it for 20, but hopefully we won't still be out there on Saturday night. Okay. Now, how many of you guys have a boater operator's card? Almost everybody. Okay. So you have taken a test on the international rules for prevention of collision at sea. So you should all be expert in it. But the more I think about, I'm going to call them call regs because IRC-PAS is too hard to say. The more I think about call regs and how they apply to racing, the more I realize that the purpose is to prevent collisions and they do not regulate racing situations terribly well. So what does that mean? I'm kind of a rules guy. I look at rules, I try to see how to use them to my advantage. But the more I look at it, the more I think, don't try to use them to your advantage. Do not be aggressive out there. The whole point is to make sure nobody gets hit. Don't press the limit. If in doubt, do the safe thing. So let's look at a common situation. Very common. So it's 11:30 at night. You got two boats going from Bolinas down to Entrance Island. Nice little westerly. Which boat has the right of way? How many think the red boat? How many think the green boat? You're all wrong. There's no such thing as the right of way. Under call regs, red is the stand-on vessel. What does that mean? The stand-on vessel shall maintain her course and speed, but she may take action to avoid collision if it becomes clear that the giveaway vessel is not taking appropriate action. Is that clear? So green, conversely, is the giveaway vessel. Well, what does that mean? The giveaway vessel must take early and substantial action to keep well clear. So what are the implications of that? Let's go back to that scenario we had. If this were the middle of the afternoon and you were the red boat and the green boat was coming over top of you like that, what would you do? That's a round for the whole house, isn't it? You'd luff up. You're not going to let somebody drive over top of you and take your wind. You want to make it painful. You want to make them go to leeward of you. Okay, now let's talk about what happens at 11:30 at night. What should you do if you're the red vessel? Maintain your course and speed. You cannot luff someone at night. This is the most common situation that people get wrong with the call regs. I've had this happen to me many times by very good racing sailors. Now, what does green have to do? He's got to take early action to keep well clear. What does that mean? Got a question? Absolutely. Okay, so the question was, could green protest red if red alters course towards them to protect their air? Absolutely. Red would have just violated the international rules for the prevention of collision at sea. Well, that brings up an excellent point. What is well clear? There's no definition. It just says keep well clear. I think if you went within sort of 8 inches of it, that's not keeping well clear. I think if you went 5 boat lengths to weather of it, that probably is, depending on the weather conditions. In 2010, that probably wouldn't have been well clear. One of our jury members is here. Tom, how close can you get? Depends on the conditions. We don't know. That's what I'm saying. These rules are not built to regulate racing situations. So what's well clear? I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. You kind of know it. If it smells like a duck, walks like a duck, etc. Be careful. If you're the green boat, go a little further than you would in the afternoon. If you're not sure, go to leeward of them. Okay, here's another situation. Let's imagine a couple of boats that are rounding an island. Let's call it, I don't know, Sisters Island. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. Green enters the zone first. What does that mean? Green's entitled to mark room. She can round that mark however she wants. Let's do it at 2:30 in the morning. This actually happened to me. I was driving a J109, was the red boat, and a 1D35, which shall remain nameless, was the green boat. So we're going around the mark. Green's the stand-on vessel. What does that mean? Maintain their course and speed. They headed up in front of us. Well, I think green just violated the call regs. Now, at the time, I wasn't even thinking about it. What you will find is that the normal racing rules are so ingrained into you that you automatically just react that way. It was like, fine, okay. But we had to head up. We almost headed up into the island. So I think green just violated it. But were we keeping well clear? It's a valid question. There was no collision, so there was no problem. But you can see how these rules are not built for racing. Be conservative. Okay, another quick one here. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. Two boats running. Which boat has the right of way? How many think the green boat? It's 2:30 in the afternoon. We're under normal racing rules. How many think green? How many think red? A lot of people not having an opinion. It's red. Red's on starboard. Green's on port. Okay, let's do the same thing in the middle of the night. Now, which boat is the give-way vessel? How many think green? Nobody, not a couple of people. How many think red? Okay, that's perspicacious of you. It's red. Even though red is on starboard, because red is the overtaking boat, how do we know they're the overtaking boat? Because they're in that cone of 135 degrees on the stern. So red is now the giveaway vessel. So what does green have to do? Maintain their course and speed. And red, take early action to keep well clear. They all kind of make sense. By the way, you'll notice that 135 degrees is the same arc that the white light behind the boat shows. So if you see a white light, you're the overtaking boat. Any questions? While we're on the topic, a shameless plug here. We're going to do a seminar on April 19th here in the Yachting Sailing, the Yachting Center, about protests. We're trying to demystify the protest procedure. A lot of people that have sailed for a long time don't really understand what happens in a protest. So we're going to tell you what happens in a protest and hopefully how to win it. And that's all I got.